Hey guys, this is gonna be a magic attack tutorial because who wants to learn basics? That's not fun. So, in this tutorial, it's gonna be a long one. So I'm gonna break it up in parts. There will be timestamps. I wouldn't be surprised if this happens to be like an hour or so, possibly longer. But as I've decided, rather than doing basics, because that sucks, I will explain all the new functions that I come across. So, if I come across something in a further piece of the thing and you just like skipped over it, sorry. Maybe if I remember, I'll explain new parts every time I get to a different type of thing. Like, I don't know, beams, projectiles, area of effect, extra stuff like grab moves and stuff. Just all that fun stuff. This is all you really need to make a magic game. And then you can do your own math stuff and make cool stuff like spirals and all this cool stuff. And also go over effects, because effects are a big thing in video games. And a lot of the effects in some games are just like really laggy and don't look great. And I'm sure you want some smooth effects that look awesome. Alright, so I will admit I'm not a scripting god, but I do what I'm able to do to get the job done. So some of the methods may seem unorthodox or weird, but I'm sure you'll get used to it. You may check out this one game I made called Mutations. I left it on copy lock so that people can use some of the code in it. The code is not indented, however, and that is a very bad habit that I happen to build up. Don't build up that habit, please. Always indent. And for the sake of the tutorial, I will indent against my own habit. So let's start with part 1. Preparing for attacks. So, as always, you're gonna want a local script in the starter pack. And also, for people who want to use tools, I'm gonna also put a tool thing here. Because you remember that game Arcane Adventures? They had a magic and tools. So let's just call this base. I don't know. Here. Call this aim. So in here, what you're gonna want to do first is we're gonna want to pull out all the main stuff we need from the player. And the local script is on the client. And what I mean by that is, here, let's press play. So on the client, it's like your own version of that. It's like your own world of the game. It's only you. So if on the client I moved this on the server, this would not happen because this only happened on the client. And it's a way to keep anti-exploits and all this other stuff. And personally, I wasn't a big fan of filtering enabled, but realizing how easy it's made things, I'm okay with it. Alright, so our first variable is going to be player. And player is, it's your player. All you need to know. Now, sometimes the game breaks when you try to do things ahead of time before it exists. So I'm going to put repeat wait until player.character. And this is because I want to get the player's character without messing anything up. Also get the mouse, because you want to aim those magic attacks. Thing. And let's put enabled equals true. Now, this is to prevent people from like using attacks multiple times at the same time. Like, for example, let's say you use a fireball, and you don't want to use a fireball. You don't want them to use it at the same time again. So this is like, it's a debounce. It's a cooldown essentially. And let's put a button down. False. Is typing equal false, because you don't want people to be typing and then for it to trigger something. You want the typing to be its own thing. And key equals nil, because button down. In fact, I'm gonna put it right here. If you have a better method for holding buttons down, let me know. And for the sake, we can do this later. I'll bring it up later. So for now, it's gonna look already complicated, but this is for when you're typing. So get service, sorry, input service. Oops. Input began because. All right, so first of all, this is a service like user input service. User input service is just one of the many services you can use, and it's right in the name. It's the user's input, so like what they type down, whatever they press, all of the sort. And this is something you're gonna use quite often. I don't think you'll ever not use it. There is an older version of it, but that is deprecated, so don't use it. It's a very bad idea. Alright, so input began, connect. So since this is a function or an event, you could say, yeah, it's an event. So when the input is began, as soon as buttons are being pressed by the player, it's going to trigger this event, input began. Alright, connect. Now there are many ways to do a function, but personally I like combining it. You can also just do this and put, I don't know, function. I'll explain this in one of the basics, but you can also do function, and then this will trigger this. But I don't like that. So let's do function and input object. So this is, let's say input code. Key code is just like the value that the keys have. Enum is checking those numbers. It's not exactly what it means, but don't worry about it. Alright, no. Is typing true or true? Finish event, game, hit service, input. Shit, my brain's dying here. Sorry. Service, input began, connect, function. Why am I doing this twice? Because we're gonna check if so first we checked if they press slash, which is the chat button. So if you have a different chat in your game, I don't know, change it to like T or something. So slash, and then while slash is happening, we're gonna check if they hit either return or click, because that's how you get out of talking in Roblox. If input obj keycode enum.keycode return, what is input what type? User input mouse button 1, then is typing false, finish event, disconnect. And disconnect turns off this function, or disconnects it. It gets rid of it. So this function will stop working as soon as this is fired. And as proof this is working, print is typing and print finished. Yeah, this is gonna be a long one. So as you can see, slash is typing. Do my thing, enter, finish typing. And this is really good, so that typing, things don't happen. Moving on, skip. Alright. So if you want to make your thing attack like when you click, then just do this function. Easy. Don't have to do a user input thing up here. It's a simpler function. Fun because I don't know why I said that. It's just a thing. Moving on, back to the annoying stuff. Let's do get service, user input service, input began, X, Now I could have put it up here, but I like separating this, so don't worry about it. Put object. Or actually, let's just call it. Yeah, I like input object. And game processed event. So now in here, what we're gonna want to do is if is typing, because now it can check if it's typing or not. Or enabled equals false, then return end. And return means it goes back to the top, and that's it. As soon as it ends, that's it. It won't come back down. It'll return from anything that it won't run anything that happens to be down here. Oh shoot. I'm sorry. I said I would indent, and I haven't been indenting. This is what it should look like. Old habits are hard to get rid of. Alright. I'm pretty sure that's what it's supposed to look like. Okay, continuing on. Is typing or enabled. Let's do if input object keycode equals enum.code. Let's choose Q. Yeah. Let's put EQ here, because that'll be important later. That'll be to mark our that'll be to mark our key, like what button they're holding down. Goes Q. That key code we're gonna do is let's print. Alright. He was fired. Okay, hold on. I made a bit of a mistake. E a nil. Oh, whoops. Forgot to put an equal sign. E equals Q. Q fired. Now, for now, to save some time, let's do the thing where if you hold it down and then user input service, input ended. This is ended because input began is when you press the button. Input ended as soon as you lift. Let's put input object, just like top. Game processed event. Game processed event is honestly, I don't know what it is. I had someone show me this and I just kinda fed off of it. You'll need it at some point, I don't know when. So if input object keycode enum keycode a q and key right, we're doing and key equals q. So this is checking if the key is q, so that it doesn't fire anything off stupid. Then button down false. Back. Let's make button down here. Now let's put let's have it print Q down, print Q up. This is good for charging attacks. Down. Alright. By the way, this is your output. I should have said that a while ago. Sorry. Alright, let's get rid of these. Now, we could start scripting in here, but that's not going to work. And the reason it's not going to work, because earlier I had explained the client side has stuff that happens, and it won't happen on the server side. This is a local script, so it's local to only your client. And so this local script, anything that it does, will not happen on the server. So now, we're going to have to create a remote. And Personally, I've seen many remotes, like places they put it in. Sometimes they put it in replicated storage. Sometimes they put it in the tool. They put it in the workspace. Personally, I like putting it in the tool. Why? Because that's how I first learned it from some guy who taught me how to filtering enabled. Very, very grateful to that man. I don't know what he's doing. And now let's put a script inside. This is something that can connect to the server. Now let's call it like, I don't know. You can just leave it as script. I like calling my stuff. Call this function for now, the remote event. Alright, so in main, what you're going to want to do is... Are my indents wrong? They feel very right to me. Yeah, okay. So game, no, script.function, fire server. And this is another function. Fire server, it's firing to the server. Here, it should be firing to this remote. So this remote will connect to the server and call anything that's connected to this function. And I'll show you how to connect them in a sec. So let's say the action was trigger. Script.function, fire server trigger. Here we're going to want to do script.parent because it's inside the function already. If you hadn't done this, you would have to do, let's say we put the function in replicated storage, then you'd have to do game.replicatedStorage.function. But that's not what we're doing. So script.parent function on server event connect function. And for me, you always have to put player because it has to know what player it's coming from. So when your client sends a thing to the server has to know which player has sent it. This is you. Player, don't forget this. This is automatically in here at all times. And for this, let's put action. And you can put other stuff in here like, I don't know, v1, v2, v3, other values. But for now, we only have action. So, first, let's get the character because we need this. And since this isn't a function, you have to put local. The reason you have to put local is so that it doesn't spread to anything outside of this function. Local C is player.character. And you don't have to do a wait for it this time because you can't trigger this when you're spawning. There's nothing to wait for. The local.player local C equals player.character. Let's do if action equals triggered print triggered. So this should be going to the server. Now it'll show up in the output in here, but why did I do that? My bad. So it should just be script.parent.onServer event connect function player.action. Then press Q. Nothing's happening. When I go to the server, alright, what? Action equals trigger. Oh, I better get on the right thinking track here. I am. Oh, sorry. So Q triggered. Server gets too. Wow. So now let's have further proof of this actually working. Let's say it moves you forward. Player. I already have character. C.humanoid root part, which is the inside of your body, your main like body part. C-frame. C-frame is a way of moving things like 3D space. And C-frame.new will only affect the X, Y, and Z axis. Let's do that humanoid part. So it equals itself again because we're trying to add on to the current value. And this asterisk is Normally it's multiplication, but it feels like addition here. And let's do make it move us forward like 2 studs. I press Q, I move forward 2 studs. And this happens on the server. Pretty good. Now, that's all you really need. So we're going to move on to part 2. Part 2 is, oh wait, no. I gotta show you how to make it work in the tool. So when you got a tool, this tool has a few functions. Let's not can be dropped and not require handle. Because if they can drop it, then you can press backspace and it gets rid of it. And requires handle means it's a holdable, tangible object, which is not what we want. So let's have a function down here, and let's put a variable called equipped. Equipped is to check if the player actually is holding it. Now, some people know that it goes into the character, and they may just check for it inside the character. I don't like that method. I don't know if anyone actually does that method, but whatever. So if script.parent equipped, if that's the function, I'm gonna have to double check equipped print. Now if I hold the tool, then it equips. But I can still do things even when it's not equipped. So we're gonna have to make it so that we can still do things when it's equipped. Equipped. False. I mean true. And then it should. Alright, so apparently I pressed a button that canceled the recording. So about tools. That's where I left off. Tools. I gotta pull it back out. I'm glad I checked. I would have been pretty mad. Alright, so equipped equals true. Or false, because it hasn't been equipped yet. Let's do, since it's in the tool, script.parent.equipped connect function. It's checking if it's equipped or not. Equipped equals true now. When it's unequipped, equipped, false. Now let's put unequipped. So now, it should trigger something. Let's do print Q pressed. And press this. It works. And that is because we have not added equipped here yet. Let's put into the return function. So equipped equals false and return end. And also you should have this down for mouse.button, one down. I kind of left that part out because I wasn't really doing anything with it. Just leave this here. And now it should only happen when you press Q. Nothing happens. I equip it. Nothing happens. That function, right? False. Yeah, it should be working. It's, strange. Huh. You have a second. I'll cut this out. Okay, found it. So, in the properties, Make sure when you have your tool, I probably already mentioned this, but I'm mentioning it again. Can be dropped. No. Requires handle. Oh. So it was waiting for a handle. Alright. Yep, there we go. So now that I equip it, press, unequip it, fuse can't be pressed. Easy. Now, for you poor souls who are using tools, sorry, but it's not what we're doing here. Alright. Let's get into part 2. So part 2, it hurts to re-explain this. So part 2, we're going to do projectiles. Projectiles have to deal damage, travel, gotta charge it if you want, need aiming, and I'll add a little gravity aspect in there for people who want to do like catapults or something. We're going to do artificial gravity because Roblox gravity can be weird sometimes. We're going to make it arc. Alright. Handle. Here, we're going to want to put our magic attack. Now that we have all this, leave it as it is. And since we have a button down, not true, let's do while button down equals true do. Let's move this down here. Let's have it wait, because watch the basic while functions. If you don't put a wait here, it is just gonna break. It's gonna explode your game. In fact, I'll show you right now. If you don't have this, as soon as you press Q, it's gonna do that, and that's a horrible. And my mouse is no longer moving. I let go of it, so it should sooner or later fix. Yeah. Okay. Game script timeout. That's what's gonna happen because it's gonna try to infinitely do this all at once, and that's so. Put a wait there. Not forget it. Now, action equals trigger. Let's put a part because we need a part. Instance.new part workspace. Now, I'm one of those neat, nifty people that like organizing all their stuff, and I don't know, they have like plans in the future to make like a projectile reflect or like have an attack that wipes all the projectiles on the field. So, I have a folder specifically for projectiles. You don't have to do this, but you can. If you just put workspace, it's gonna go in. It's gonna go in the workspace, but you can also do workspace.projectiles. So p.size, do 2 by 2 by 2. That's a good size. Like your torso. Let's not make it can collide, because I don't know, if you have an earth attack or something and you want to push people, I guess you can do can collide, but it's gonna mess with Roblox physics, because Roblox physics has been notoriously not good. So for me, I'm gonna put it false. You got anchored. Oh. In fact, I don't think you need this. Let's do P.S. Let's give it a color. Or, you know what, we don't need colors. Transparency. Let's give it like, so we can see through it. 0.5. And let's do P.C frame equals C humanoid root part SC frame. For now, when we aim, I'm gonna make it where the player is looking. After that, I'll show you how to make it where your mouse is aiming. And then after that, I'm going to make it so wherever your mouse is aiming is where your player aims, and that's where the fire goes. So, see that C frame, see that humanoid root part of C frame. Let's put it in front. Let's put it like -2. Because it'll be -2 because this is 2 by 2 by 2. And now, this should appear in front of me whenever I press Q. Yep. Now we want to make it move. So, there's a few methods. Personally, I don't like the, there's a method I have seen, which I don't think exists anymore, but I'm still gonna bring this up. Like earlier, I had shown you how to, like, just constantly make it move forward. That's a no in my book. I don't like that. So, do BV for body velocity. Why did I say it like that? Body velocity. Body velocity. Put it in the part. B. Alright. Max force. Max force is the maximum amount of force. It's like how strong it is. So if I put it math.huge like some people do, 4 souls, then it is gonna attempt to like push through things with all its force. In fact, I'm gonna do math.huge for now, and I'm gonna fire at a wall. So now, velocity. Now, velocity is naturally, it works a lot of ways. Vector3.new, blah 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 blah. But for now, we want it. It is a vector3 value, so rotation isn't really a thing. Can make it rotate though with C-framing. For now, let's do C.humanoid root part. Or no, we already faced the projectile. Let's do C.frame dot look vector. Look vector is the way it's facing. So whichever way this block is facing when it currently spawns in, that's the way it's gonna fire. Let's multiply this by 25. That's a reasonable low moving bullet. And now let's create a great wall over here. Anchor it. Make sure it's not in the middle. So here's why I don't like math.huge. So first of all, let's see if it works. See how it slowly moves forward. So when it collides with the wall, oh yeah, it's non-collide. Alright, let's make it collide for now. In case you try putting this in your player, let's make it collide. So when this happens, it collides. It's trying everything it can. And it's like, can't tell, but it's freaking out. It should not be doing this. Now, if I changed it to, let's say, instead of math.huge, let's do like 250,000. This, it'll not try to do everything in its power. It'll just do it at a reasonably strong whatever. And it's slightly flatter than before, and it isn't really trying to push. That's what you want. Okay, let's get rid of collide because I'm stupid. Realize I was doing something wrong. So now we got a projectile, great. And now we can just fire as many of them as we want, because that's how this works. Wow. Now, the thing about this is that these are good, and they do seem to momentarily lag. Don't worry about that. It's just Roblox being a Roblox. I'm sure there's a better reason for it, but I don't want to get into it right now. We're just trying to make things work right now. So, now that we have this, we're going to want to do damage. So, there are many versions of damage. There is area of effect, there's on touch, there's, I don't know, when it's floating in the area and it just happens to pass by you, you take damage, I guess. I don't know, people like that. Then we can either use magnitude, region 3, or on touch. And for now, I'm going to do on touch. So, the on touch, which is a part function, any tangible object function, connect function. And let's put touched. So it'll print, or it'll give you the, it'll give you the value of what it touched. Let's do print touched. And let's call this wall Garbongo. I don't know. So it should print Garbongo whenever it hits it. On touch is not a valid member of part. I am sorry. On touched. On touched.
Yes, well, I mean, the creepers were a mistake. I defined
On touched is also not a valid member. Why?
the models I did
Touched?
code, and I accidentally made a tall instead of log, so it was like a tall thing before the
It's touched, everybody. And as you can see, it printed Garbongo because it passed Garbongo. Don't worry about all this. This is what happens when it touches a player. I don't. Alright. Okay, no, it just happens because. Alright, now it's just happening. I don't like that. Alright. So now that we have the part it's touched, Let's say you wanted it to only touch a player. So let's put a dummy here. Now, when we touch it, we're gonna have to check for its humanoid. And if you checked in basic tutorials, if touched, that parent, because it's touching one of these parts, so it won't be to check if it's in the model. We have to check outside of the part. So if touch that parent, find first child. The first thing it'll look for, it'll pick the first thing it finds. So humanoid, that's what we're looking for. Then we should make it print touched player. Touches the player. Where did it go? Why? I don't understand. Alright. So when it touches the dummy, it says touched player. Now, problem with this is it's gonna touch all parts. So what I like to do is and touched.name equals humanoid of root part, because that's the center of the body. If you're gonna do some crazy stuff like have a huge ass body like Attack on Titan or some kind of like, I don't know, One Piece chop whatever the heck, then this is probably not the best function, and you may want so let's do touch.parent. Now you don't have to do find first child because you've already found it. Humanoid. Then there is a function called take damage, and this is good if your game has force fields. It can, and by force fields I mean this ancient thing, which I haven't seen in years. If it still exists, this ancient thing right here, not popping up. I guess force fields are invisible, but originally it would create a barrier. Yeah, they're just extinct. Alright, cool. Oh, no. You're supposed to put it in. Alright, don't worry about force fields then, because I guess I'm old. Alright, take damage. Take damage, let's say like 25. And now that it's only checking for the humanoid root part, it won't damage it more than one. There is another method I will show you in a sec. Pull him up here. Took 25 damage. Wow. Here's my more preferred method. So let's do touched.parent find first child debounce. You can call this whatever you want. So it's gonna check for debounce, and it's gonna check if it doesn't exist. So equals nil. If it is nil, which is non-existent, then this will fire. So let's put local deb equals instance.new bool value, because I don't know, it can be whatever you want. Player or touch.parent, I should say, deb.name equals debounce. Now this is the thing where you don't want it to last forever, because if it lasts forever, then basically this thing can only get hit by. Why does it keep doing that? It can only get hit once, and none of these will ever hurt it again. Unfortunately. Oh, it can also damage yourself. So if you don't want it to damage yourself, you should also do touched.parent does not equal this thing right here, this squiggly line. You should be able to find it on the top left of your keyboard. Hold shift, press the button, same button that your apostrophes are in. Touch.parent does not equal C. So now whenever your player runs into it, your player will not take damage. Alright, so this is a factor that I don't like about touched. I'm gonna just spam this, and you're gonna see my frame rates drop dramatically. And that's because, oh god, it's firing like continuously. So untouched is better for a one contact thing, like it hits thing one time. So if you're gonna make a beam attack, don't use touched. Please don't use touched. If there was a touched filter, then I guess you can use touched, but there is no touched filter, at least not that I know of. Alright, so let's do... To get rid of it, we're going to use another service. Game get service, and this is the debris service. Or, yeah, debris. There's a function called add item. So we're going to put the item, and then how long it lasts. We want it to last 1 second. And in fact, for the projectile, we don't want this to last forever, like going on to the sunset. Let's make the part last 5 seconds. That's reasonable. So now the part should only go out for 5 seconds. It should disappear at some point. There you go. And now the dummy. Let's fire this. So now it's been 1 second. The debounce is gone. So we can keep taking damage. But he can't take rapid damage in a very fast succession. So let's heal him real quick. I don't... Oh, I know why it's doing this. I'll disable it in a sec. Heal him back up. And as you can see, he got damaged on the server as well. And that's what you want. Heal him. So if I try hitting him 2 consecutive times, he only took damage for 1 of them. That's because of the debounce. And now let me disable this script right here. Okay. So, on. Now let's do area of effect damage. Because area of effect is... It's like for fireballs and stuff. And area of effect will be your friend for a while, because who wants to touch on the exact spot? I mean, not me. Let's get rid of all this. We'll bring it back. And let's get rid of touch.parent. Because now you just need it to touch something. Except yourself. So actually, only this. We don't want it to touch yourself. And if there's anything else you don't want it to touch, you can put it in here. So, let's do... We'll do magnitude first, and then I'll get into regions. So, get a parent, workspace, or no. Why did I type that? So, as soon as it touches something, let's anchor the object so that it doesn't move any more forward. And let's make it search the area. So, for I-V in pairs, workspace. Now, if you have a folder where you put all your players in, you can do that. I'm not going to script that right now. So, in pairs, workspace, children. Children is checking... It makes a table, essentially. A table is a value with multiple values. And the table will hold everything that the workspace has. So all this that you see here is going to be in there. Workspace children do if V, aka... We're looking for the dummies right now. So, if V find first child, humanoid. Now you don't have to do the parent because it isn't getting the body parts. It's getting the actual model. So if V find first child humanoid, and let's say, now this is a thing called magnitude. Magnitude is the distance or size between. For our purpose, it's going to be between 2 objects, but it's just a distance or a size, a range. So be that humanoid position. We'll learn that in physics. Alright, P dot position. We're getting positions, not C frames, because you don't need it. You're not needing rotation. Dot magnitude. So this is V dot humanoid position minus P position. And then dot magnitude. So this is getting the magnitude of these 2 positions, or between these 2 objects. And let's say it is less than or equal to 5. Or let's do 10. Our range is 10 right now. Then, and for the sake of hitbox, let's make a little thing. Let's make a visible hitbox. You don't have to copy me, but it's for tutorial purposes, so you can see that your thing actually worked. HB can't collide. Files. Parents 5. Frame equals. Or actually no. Let's do hp.cframe equals cframe.new. This is so it doesn't have a rotation, and it's just a block. Alright, so now that we have this, let's make it so anything that's within this radius takes damage. So V, find for child, or no, we already found. So V.humanoid, take damage. And again, V is the player, or the enemy target, whatever you want to call it. Make it take 25 damage. And for the sake of this, we don't have an object to hit because we can't aim down yet. So I'm just going to add a bunch of these, and you can see which ones it did not hit within the area of effect. And this will not create... It won't... It's debatable. I mean, the more objects you have to check in, then it's gonna probably lag more. Okay. Position is not a valid member. A humanoid? What did I do? That's exactly what I did. Humanoid root part. Humanoid root part. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's Q. As you can see, it only It only damaged all the players that were within that 10-meter radius. I did not change the size of that, but that should have been 10 by 10 by 10. This is the areas it hit. As you can see, it slightly skimmed them. Got them. Should be. Yeah. Huh. Seems to have gone outside of his boundaries a little. HP, the size. Let's change it to 5. This will be its new size. From the center, all the damage taken within this area. Okay, but why? Messing with. We can worry about this later. It's fine. So, the area of effect damage did work. I guess 5 is too small, so let's change it back to 10. Sorry if I'm going very slow for some people. Yeah, I guess it just goes outside its boundaries a little. That's fine. So, let's do... Or actually, no. What if it's still moving? And... Yeah. Yeah, that makes a I don't care. Alright, cool. And it seems to hit more than once. So actually, what we're going to want to do is... Let's make a value called local already hit false. Make already hit true. And it'll check if already hit false. Must equal false or this will not trigger. So now it should only fire. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so. Huh? It should be hitting. Alright, hold on. Alright, found out. I accidentally made the hitbox appear first. God damn. Alright. Let's see. Ta-da. Wow. Great. And it only hit once. It's what we wanted. Now, get rid of the hitbox. Let's do a Region 3. Region 3. That's fun. So I can't, as if I saw that my attempt in regions, that just kind of flopped. Here is a good region, and the reason this is one is good because it's pretty much like preset for you. All you have to do is trigger the function. Don't worry about all this. This is some kind of area math that I don't know. This is a module script. Modules, you can just put them somewhere, and then in this script you can do script parent or game.replicated storage dot require game.replicated storage region module and give this a variable regmod. So now this regmod we can call for. So let's say instead of this, we're gonna do. Let's create a hitbox. It's done. Part workspace. Or you know, let's not give it a workspace. Let's say it doesn't exist. Make it invisible. Give it a size. Give it game.debris or game service debris. Add item. HP. Make it appear for like 1 second. We won't need it that long. Alright, so if I'm correct, you gotta do regmod from part speed. This value, let's call it new region. Call it this one. Our table. So regmod find all parts region and let's put in new. So now let's do for IDSV in pairs. We already have a table now, and that's our table. Our table, and let's have it print everything it hits. Could be. So this is looking for parts once again. If I'm correct. Whoops. Alright, if I'm correct. Hold on. Alright, so in the new region, created from art. So what you're gonna want to do with region 3s is you're gonna have hitbox, and then you're gonna want to do reg mod from part HP, and then give that call it new arc table reg mod from cast. It's cast. Yeah, it's cast. Cast region. And actually, this should be new region dot cast. Why? Because that's how the module works. Yep. Alright, so write SV pairs our table. You don't need children because it's already a table. Have it print V. Hits. Yeah, all the body parts are hit right here. Alright, and then so, yeah, and then let's have it check for if V in pairs, or what am I doing? If V dot parent find first child and V dot name, or then, or no, we can do the same debounce thing we did earlier. V dot parent find first child depth. Then local deb dot new full value V dot parent deb dot name equals deb service add item. V dot get parent humanoid take damage. It hits. But why? How? The longer it's been like an hour and my brain is already hurting. Alright, so I forgot to capitalize name. It damaged me for some reason. Why? Okay, so sure. So what I was supposed to do was oh, I never gave it a C-frame. Give me HP.C-frame equals C-frame. You know, at this point, I feel like people are just like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. I feel the same way. C-frame. So now, whatever this hits, Yay. And that's it for projectiles. At least this part. I'm gonna not worry about damage for now. By the way, this should also have and v.parent does not equal c. Let's add some little additional factors here. So charging. Charging is fun. So let's have a charge value. Charge equals 0. And as this goes up, charge equals charge plus 1. Actually, this is unreliable. You should do this in the server script. Just leave this as weight. Or actually, oh, you can have this. Let's just call it time equals time plus 1. And then add local time. So, if you want it to stop at a certain point, and time is less than or equal to, or just less than 60. So this will eventually let go. And for button down, let's have script.function fire server button down. This is my method of doing it. Someone may have a better one. That's fine. So let's have button down false. But as soon as you press this, button down. And let's have it enabled in here. Why not? Enabled equals. Enabled equals false. As soon as this ends, this should be enabled true and button. Leave button down alone because we're gonna deal with that in a sec. So let's say if action equals button down, then button down equals false. So after going from true, it'll then become false. So now if I hold it, I have no proof that I'm holding it, just assume I'm holding it. I let go, it then lets go. If I had a charging effect, I could prove it. So oh no, I see what I did wrong. So this should be up here. And then when button down equals false, this should turn off. So put button down here. So that when it finishes, it can do its finishing touches and then release. So as soon as it releases, we should have while button down true. And instead of a wait that may cause lag, I do like a 0.2 end. And then you can also do repeat. That's the thing. So if I hold it down and then let go, then let this go. Now 0.2 is also a bit weird because that means there's going to be a delay. And 0.1 is acceptable. If you want to do wait, just make sure you're not overusing charge attacks, because with too many of these and you got like 100 players or something, I don't believe that will happen. But this alone could be problematic. So now let's make aiming. So aiming, let's first do aiming with the body. So in cases like this, we're gonna want a body gyro, I guess. So let's do local BG body gyro. Body gyro. Let's put it in the C humanoid root port. Now this is acceptable on the client because whatever happens to your player will happen on the server. I mean, if you put like armor on him, I don't think that'll happen. But if you like animate him and put forces on him, that'll happen. The BG that we need a name. We don't need max torque. Instead of max force is max torque because rotation. Let's do vector 3 new. I guess you can use map.huge. This, that's fine. I just prefer this. BG. Now for this, we can do BG. What's it called? C-frame. C-frame.new. So now, earlier we had gotten the mouse. So with the mouse, we can do c.humanoid root part dot position, comma, mouse.hit.p. So mouse.hit, that's where the mouse is on, and then .p is the position of where it hit. Now, for the first moment, it should aim like that, but it isn't following my whatever. So we're gonna have to do copy this, and we're gonna have to put this here. And now it should aim wherever. Now you see, it's very weak and slow. And Body Gyro has this thing called, if I can find it, it should have a thing called E and D. So the D is like how hard it tries to reach for something. So if I set it to 1, that'd be pretty crazy. Power is the amount of force that's within it. Like, D is its attempt to reach that point. P is the amount of force it is using to. So naturally, it's 3,000. Let's try 25,000, and let's D 100. Now, it is very smooth-ish. Oh, also make sure you delete the VG when you're. Now, you can aim wherever your body's looking. You can also look straight up. Now, it does seem a bit jittery, and we can smoothen it out if we change the P spots to like 20,000. Raise this to like. The lower the D is, the harder it tries. It's still pretty jittery, not as bad. And that's charging and aiming with the body. Wow. Now, if you wanted to aim with the part, as in just wherever your mouse is, comment these for that. Then what you're gonna want to do is, at the very end, you're gonna want to give the mouse.hit.p, and this is where we add on items. And actually, let's put this on. Yeah, let's put it here. Mouse.hit, and let's add another value in here. Handle our server script. Last mouse nil. And then let's add v1 next to the player in action, because this is our first additional variable. Last mouse should equal v1. So now here, let's do p.cframe. Make it appear in front of the body, but then let's add it again. P.cframe and equal p.cframe, because we're gonna add on to the already existing. With this, do p.cframe equals p.cframe times, I don't know why times, don't worry about it. It should equal scratch that. cframe.new. This will not erase its position. p.position, comma, last mouse pose. So cframe.new, it starts here, the very first value, and then it'll look towards the second value. So now, instead of aiming my body, this should automatically go a direction. Like that. Good. And that's those. Now, I personally don't like doing that. You can add it to the rotation of the body for like extra checking extra stuff. I'm gonna get rid of this. We don't like that. I don't like it personally. Now let's do gravity. Gravity's a fun thing, like arcing objects. So what I like to do, what some people do, is for the BV, they add it for a certain amount of time. So BV, say it lasts 2 seconds. So this will go in the air for 2 seconds. Now once this loads, I aim up, it'll go up, and then in 2 seconds it'll just fall. Now I don't like that, because you're basically letting Roblox gravity do its thing. What I like to do is spawn function. What this does is that anything that happens here, it'll pass straight through and go onto this. So this is like its own function inside this function. It won't pause anything that happens, because as you know, anything that happens will pause scripts. So while button, wait, this pauses the whole thing and waits, and it won't do anything down here. This is the complete opposite. It'll go straight through, and anything inside, it'll also go straight through. So let's do while BV equals does not equal 2. Give it a wait. And then let's do BV equals BV, or sorry, BV to velocity equals BV to velocity. And let's do BV to velocity plus vector3.new 0 -2 at 0. So this is like instant gravity taking effect. So what this will do is, as soon as I fire it up, it's already slowly heading down. And that's not fun. So what if we did 0.1? So it'll slowly go down, but not at such a rate. But see how that might have been too slow. What if I speed this up a little? And in fact, let's give this part a trail, so that you can just kind of know what kind of effect it's having. So give me a second here. Okay, so now we have a trail that we can look at. Let's speed this up actually. Let's make it 50. Make this then so now we can see the arc it makes. So let's face up, fire it, and as you can see, it makes a bit of an arc. And that's like my little artificial gravity that I like. And you can strengthen this, you can make the arc a little bit stronger. You can make it weird, you can do all sorts of stuff as it arcs. That's what I like to do. It's like a catapult effect, and I find it. Let's do this. I like doing stuff like this because it's fun. This is our arc. Way it went. Alright. And that's Projectiles. Whoa. How great. Alright, now we're gonna move on to part 3, beams. Honestly, I am not a professional beam maker, and the methods you shall see are going to be very whack. Okay, I hate beams. Now, you know how long I've been trying to do beams, and I fail each time. But I'll show you my method, and if you like it, then good for you. So let's make another button. E. Spread this out. You can change the current one if you want. It doesn't matter. It's our new one. E. Let's do beam. Let's make it so you're stationary in air this time when you. Let's do BP. Body position. Position that holds you. Spot. BP. Max force. Vector3. That new. This, I guess you can use math.huge for this. I don't see any problem with that. Do BP. Position. Do that human. Now if I hold E, now for beams. Whoa! Beams are long. You should know what it is. I mean, you're here by magic text. So when we're making beams, we're gonna want there are like 3 types of beams. There are the ones that like travel. There are the ones that are kind of like they're the ones that are very stationary, and then there are the ones that are kind of like, is that considered a beam? Nah, that's just a bunch of projectiles. So a beam is just a long distance that fires, long object. So let's create a new if action. Let's hide this for now, or not. If action beam or and enable then. And for the sake of this, I'll add a charging effect because you know that's cool. Actually, I take that back. Screw you. So local P instance.new. This will be our beam part workspace. Make beam folder. Base.beam. P.size equals vector3. New. Let's make it 4, 4, and then 30. So P dot can't collide. False. P dot. Let's make it neon because that's cool. That's fun. P dot transparency. 0.1. Then P dot C frame equals C dot humanoid root part. C frame times C frame dot new 0.0 16, and I do 16 so that it's only in front because this is really big. Also, this is negative because I don't know. Alright, so it only goes in front when it's negative. Now with this, test it out real quick. Now that we have a beam, it should just here. Yep, I forgot to anchor it. Beams you can anchor because it is not gonna go anywhere. Anchor deals true. And let's add our little chargy function. Down. True. Repeat. Wait. 0. Till button down. So now got this. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. Now we got this. A beam. So what we this is we're gonna make it damage. With this beam, we're gonna use. Now this is where we use region mods like really heavily. Insane. Just lots of region. And I'll try to do it within the reasonable limits of server and not lagging. So let's do P. Let's make it fire 5 times. It'll damage 5 times. Right. Now let's make it like every 0.2. So, for reg mod from part or local AR area region, and let's local R AR.cast. Is that what it was? You can tell I don't use a lot. Cast. Yeah, okay. Cast AR. And for pairs, AR. If B find child humanoid, and V find for child make it look for now B.name, or let's do the D bound, yeah. Ugh, I am sorry. Find first child. Beam D-bounce. It's nil. Let's do take damage. Let's do 5. Actually, let's change this to 0. And then we'll just delete the beam after that. B or local beam depth new value B beam dev that name and free get service debris add item 0.05 because we want it to still hit them like multiple times. 0.05. Let's do dev. Okay. Now, I forgot to make a check if it's not me. Always, yeah. B does not equal C. Now, let's try getting a whole row right here. That didn't last long. This is okay, so for Riders in pairs R. You're checking for R. So R now what it's supposed to be doing is checking through them. And I think I just suck. I made a bit of an error, so I forgot that we were checking for parts. So it's v.parent. Always remember it's v.parent. Don't be me. Alright, so v.parent humanoid. So now as the beam hits things, alright. So as you can see, it damaged it 5 times. The D-bounce did not take effect. Parent and v.parent not equal to C. I wonder how many people are like completely pissed off. They're like, God damn it, I gotta rewrite that whole thing because this fucker who's supposed to be teaching me fucked up. Yeah. As you can see, it only damages the row that it's in, just like a beam would. And that's beam method 1. If you want it to follow your character, this is another thing you can do. You can just kind of grab the C-framing thing again and put it in front of you, always. So, like that. And if you want it to follow you with your mouse still in effect, you can make it. You can have this fire for, let's say, I equals 5 do. Fire this. Wait 0.1. So this will still exist, and for 0.1, it'll just kind of face around that many. This. Make sure you also put this above. Now for the beam, you're looking around. Follow. Okay. Now here is the thing you'll notice. If I put my mouse over the beam, it'll start doing this weird thing. This is where I like to do a thing called mouse target filter. Mouse to target filter. This will filter anything that you want your mouse to go through. So let's say workspace.beams, and then anything that's in the beams it will not recognize. It'll just ignore it. Yep. Now, got our beam. Wow. Alright, that's the second method. We're done with beams. Part 3. The shortest one. Alright, so now what we're going to want to do is... You already know area of effect, so I think you could figure it out. You want like an instantaneous... Part 4. Body explosions? You know what? I think you can put it together. I trust in your guys' smartness. Part 4. The big moment we've all been waiting for. Smoothness and effects. So, we have all this messy stuff. It doesn't look great. You want it to look like, I don't know, an amazing game that front pages games have, I think. I mean, all the front page games do have effort put into them. I will admit. Even the simulators, like, you had to first come up with the idea, figure out what was what, and then use a template at the very end. So, effects. Effects are my favorite part to do. In fact, I am very good at effects. When I take the time, at least. So let's do effects. Make a folder for effects. And now what we're going to want to do is make a script, a local script, and let's call it the effects script. Just put. Now, my method of effects is a bit weird, but it is my favorite method and it makes things look very smooth. So what we're going to want to do first, I'm just going to copy all this right here. I don't feel like getting that right now. And then game.workspace. Yeah, I just put this workspace.effects. Child added connect. So child added is whenever something gets added into the folder. So in here, let's say I add in a part, this will fire this little event here. And for the effects script, you should actually put it in a user interface, a GUI, and make it do not make it reset on spawn. And let's just call it, I don't know, gameplay. So anything that happens in here will not happen. It'll not reset. So when you die, this still exists, and all the effects don't like pause in midair and do this weird crap and just like never disappear. That's very ugly. So let's do, this is where I'm going to introduce you to a little thing called heartbeat or render steps. So there's this thing I had once done script builder in the past, and while looking through someone else's code, I had learned a thing called heartbeat. And this is, wait, game get service, run service, heartbeat, and then colon wait. And what this does is that every time your frame fires, this will only act upon that frame. So let's say you have one of those doohickey things, Roblox FPS unlocked, right? I like that. But you set it to none. So you have like max FPS, like, I don't know, 240, 144. That's where S-Wait will be a bit of a problem for you if you're playing the game or you're looking at it. And you should just always assume people will play in 60 FPS. Effects will run really, really fast, and that's no fun. Games like Black Magic, I'm surprised that they can like have smooth effects. Probably because they use weight or something, or I don't know. Black Magic, I have no idea how they made the game. And so moving on, going through effects, what you're gonna want to do is, let's make a thing. And actually, I'll go over screen shake in this. That's a cool thing. Screen shake is one of those things that really adds to like the effect, the power, the energy a game can feel. And it's like, whoa, things are moving. This is pretty crazy. Yeah, it is. So, do screen shake. True. In case someone wants to disable it. Equal EQ. I forgot what inspired me to call it EQ. I don't know if it was like me trying to think of some like something. EQ equals 0. And EQ will play a big role. So this is another thing that relates to FPS. Game get service, run service, dot render steps. So every time a thing gets fired, a frame, this will fire. And this doesn't lag because it's on your client, so that's fine. Can't even use this on the server. Let's do if EQ greater than 0, then if EQ greater than 100, then EQ 100. Because we don't want screen shake to get too wild. If it gets too wild, then that really hurts the eyes and it's just super annoying. Let's keep it at a reasonable base. So local E equals EQ times 100. Why 100? Because you want a smooth. You want it to look smooth. You don't want it to be all weird and just like instant. You want it like those little bits and pieces here and there. So what we're gonna do is every time this fires, EQ equals EQ minus equal 2. So it'll minus 2 every time this fires. And then if screen shake equals true, then workspace.current camera. So for your client, it'll get the current camera, your player's camera, to be exact, or the camera they're looking through, and that's the camera that you'll have with the current camera. So coordinate frame. Coordinate frame is basically the C frame of the camera. That's all you need to know. And then we're gonna add onto it workspace.camera.coordinate frame. Don't use C frame times. I mean, now you can. Now, personally, I like to do this method, math.random e-e divided by 10,000. And that's why I multiplied it by 100. Because I don't want screen shakes to get too wild. And since this is already like 3, let's do this 3 times. Okay. And then we're going to do cframe.angles. Now, you don't need to do this, but I like it because it makes it look even more effective. So angles, math.rad, radians for anyone, okay. Negative e, comma, another 10, and then 0, because you don't want it to look up and down. You only want it to like rotate the screen a little. if it goes up and you don't need it to. So this, I think if I do it like this, it'll like spin the screen a little. That's not what you want. All right, and now that we have this, let me. So you're gonna have to do it multiple. Yep, there we go. Okay, cool. Now what we're gonna want to do with this, we have no way to change this, so I'm gonna show you a method to make screen shakes, like their positions. Personally, I like to make a folder. I'll call it screen shake. Or yeah, here you can also do this. Stick with folders because less lag. So screen shake, and inside let's do vector 3 value. Call this position or location because it'll look for position. Oh, where is it? And let's do magnitude. So like the range, because what this is essentially doing is it's looking for your camera, or not this one to be exact, but what I normally do with my camera shakes is that I'll have it check within a range, and if it's not within that range, then the camera shake will not happen, because I mean it has to be in the area. It can't just happen because you want it to. So here we're going to do workspace if child.name screen shake, then we're gonna do, no, leave this here for now. We have to finish adding the value. Getting ahead of myself. So do a number value, not an integer because you want decimals. So number value, and do magnitude and range. So range is where it's looking, like how big it'll look for your camera size, and then magnitude is like the amount of force in the size of the shake, size of the screen shake. Now that we have all these values, you can put this in the replicated storage, make a folder, and call it effects. So you can grab it and clone it whenever you have to. So effects, screen shake, good. So let's move back to our little catapult here. When it hits, we want it to screen shake. So let's do local ss for screen shake, game.replicated storage, effects, screen shake, clone. When you clone it, it will not have a parent immediately, and you'll have to give it a parent, but it won't grab this. It'll clone it as it says, ss.parent equals workspace.effects, and now we're gonna have to edit the insides of it. So ss.location will be, always put value because you're changing a value. When you're messing with these, you have to put dot value. If it was its own variable, then you do not have to mess with that. So ss variable is vector 3 p dot position, because that's, I don't know why I did that. Put p dot position, and then ss dot range dot value. Let's say it's 25, and then ss dot range dot magnitude. Let's say it's a pretty heavy magnitude of 40. So now that that's there, also make sure you delete these. Like, give it a debris time. Like, oh, you can do game dot. Huh. All right. Well. I'm gonna leave it there, and if it doesn't work, then I'm gonna stand by my case of that's not how you do it. But so SS, it only has to appear for like 0.2 seconds. It doesn't need to be out that long. Now, when you fire, it will not screen shake immediately. Testing. Magnitude, not member. How many times did this fire? Oh, whoops. Alright. fires. Okay, so there was a faster method. I am sorry. Game. It could have just been game.deburst add item. Anyone who did this right here, I am sorry. So now that we have this, we're gonna want it to take effect. Now that we have screen shake, what we're gonna want to do is make sure it's in the area. So first of all, is if workspace current camera c frame p is just getting the position of the camera. I don't think camera has a position, so you have to c frame. And then child location value. And let's give this a real quick give it a real quick s weight at the very beginning, because no, I think it's fine. Dot magnitude. This should not be a comma. This should be a minus. Magnitude is less than or equal to b or child dot range dot value. So this is now checking the range. And now let's see if EQ is greater than 100, then Q. No. Let's change this to 150. And then if EQ is greater than 150 and EQ plus magnitude value. Okay, again, this should be child. Sorry. Normally I put V up here, which would have been easier. I wish I did that earlier. You already got child in there, so the value greater than 50 or less than. Then Q equals Q plus child dot magnitude dot value. Now the reason we do this is so that it doesn't overflow. We don't want an overflow at all. And let's do else if EQ is greater than 150 or EQ plus b dot magnitude value is greater than 50, then EQ equals 150. Let's only keep it. So with this, what we're gonna do, test it. And according to what I've written down, it should shake my screen. Location is not a valid member. Alright, so this is the thing that happens. So it checks as soon as it gets added, and I guess the game doesn't process it hard enough, so let's do repeat swait until child find first child, and then it'll just check that. Now, when fire, argument 3 missing or nil. 9. I don't really see what's wrong with this, but for now I'm gonna get rid of angles. Okay, with angles gone, try this. Now, it shakes the screen. That's like powered effect. It's cool. I can fire this in there and wait for it to hit down, shake my screen. Alright, maybe that was asking for a little too. Maybe I can just Yeah. And it'll also be wherever your camera is. So if I fire way out here, like point my camera at it, shake my screen. Alright. That was screen shake. So, now let's get into some of those cool effects. This is no longer a scripting tutorial. It still is, but I'm also going to teach you how to make really cool effects and be fluent in effect and factory. So, let's give our catapult buddy let's get rid of his trail. No trail anymore. Bye-bye. So now let's give it a particle. This particle, we're gonna have explosions and everything and all that cool stuff. So what I like to do is I put an attachment because it starts in the center, like in the very center, instead of like all over the part. So let's do, since the fireball is like that big, let's change this. Let's do light emission 1, light and fluent 0. Let's make the size like, I don't know, start from small because it doesn't just appear. Make it grow pretty fast and then make it slowly decrease to a small size. Like that. That's good. Then lifetime, let's make it like 1. Or you know, let's make it, in fact actually, let's make this a little more dramatic. Let's make it small. Yeah. And instead of speed, let's just make it normal. So like, when we move it around, now as you can see, it leaves gaps. We don't want that. So you're gonna go to rate, change it to like 150. That's reasonable. And then it becomes almost like a trail. It still leaves bits in here, but that's because it's moving really fast. So you can just kind of, since it's slow, ours is gonna look like this. Looks really nice. Alright. In fact, I think we can lower it down to 100. 200. Less particles, it's just way better. Particles can lag, and that's bad. So let's do rotation 360, that it's all randomized. Then it's more like an energy kind of a thing. And to make it even cool, let's do rotation speed 399. When it spins, it looks. So we can also give it a little bit of a spread. So I may have set the speed to 5, but now if I go to spread angle, do 360, it's gonna spread like this. But for the sake of this, let's just do 2. So it's like a bit of a trail at the end. Or you know what? No, for me, I'm gonna just have it 0. I like it that. I like this. I like it like that. So now with this particle, we also need an explosion. So let's make an explosion real quick. Now there is a function called emit, and emit is really awesome, in my opinion. Now this is where we can use the spread angle. Let's do like 15, 25, 30, 5, and let me just check this real quick. Okay, let's make it faster. So it's like a big pop. Alright, that's good, that's good. And instead of this, let's do a... It can start immediately big. It'll go from big to small. Now, you're probably saying, oh, that looks like crap. What is that? How could you do such a thing? But that's where I am gonna do some stuff that'll blow your mind, scripting. This is a thing called emit. And actually, let's change it. You know what? Actually, I'll blow your minds even harder. Let's make it exist for 2 seconds. And actually, small. Okay. This. Make it last 3 seconds, actually. Nah, 2. Yeah, that's fair. Pick this. So let's grab this. This is our trail. Put it in the handle. We'll call this light explode. So now, we learned about the cloning thing. So when we first spawn it, let's do trail script.trail because it's in the script. Clone trail.parent equals trail.enabled true. Because actually, you should always disable these in the script, or else it'll be somewhere in the game. The effect will just chill and it'll be not good to look at. So always have them disabled, and then enable them when you put them in. Now that this is here, you fire it, you should have light particle trail. Now here's one of my big hates that I absolutely loathe that games do. And honestly, it pisses me off every time I see it. What games do is that they always immediately get rid of the trail, ruining that effect of like, oh wow, it's wow. So like, what they do is when they remove the part as soon as it hits, which is what I should have done. As soon as it hits, it should be removed, and it'll do this, which I will show you right now. I hate this. So that immediately disappeared, and that is just so ugly. So what we're gonna want to do is down here, game.debris, add item, and we're gonna want to do p dot however long the trail lasts. So it lasts for 2. Let's do 2, and then instead of just getting rid of it like that or waiting for it to end, do trail.enabled equals false. So now, as soon as it hits, it won't just disappear. It'll fade into it, and then that's just so much nicer. It's like 100 times nicer. Like, I don't know why games. It's just so nice. So now we're gonna want to make the explosion effect. So now that this still exists, we can't just rely on this. So what we're gonna want to do is local ep instance.new part. Let's put it in the workspace. Let's make a junk folder. Junk workspace.junk ep.size vect.new 0.0.0.05 dot anchored equals true ep.can collide false ep.transparency. Now I said I would have used attachments, but 0.0 or whatever the heck, this small size is equally as good. Now let's do exp for explosion. Script.light explosion clone exp. Instead of enabling it, we're gonna do this. This is a thing called emit, and in this instant, it'll emit that many particles. So let's say like 20. Exp emit, and let's make sure this EP part doesn't last forever. Add item EP. Let's last for 2 seconds. So let's make it last 2 seconds. 2. So now our projectile should have an effect and an explosion as it's arcing down. I forgot to give it a parent. My bad. Parent SP or EP. Now as it's coming down, this. What? Oh, I forgot to position it. Yeah. Okay, I got you. Make sure you position your part. EP the frame. And now, as soon as it hits, I do this. You know what? We can come up with a better explosion than that. Hold on. Alright, watch this. this is a little trick that I did a lot. Alright, we're also going to give it a transparency. Now the reason I did this is because I'm going to do a bit of a weird thing. Start small and then it expands. And we're actually going to make it like an exponential buildup. Or exponential buildup from small. This. So now, okay, that's probably too big. So like this. And let's make the transparency here now. That's when it gets big. That would be enough. Explosion. Actually, yeah, that seems right. Sure. Alright, so that... Actually, no. Let's just make it a quick pop. That's what people like. That's much better. So, let's just give it a quick just pop, and then big. Let's actually make this much faster. Yeah, alright, cool. Make it emit 30, because, I don't know, that's cool. And then, the hits. Come down. Quick pop. Very satisfying to look at. I mean, here. Let's do 100. Be careful with the emit, because if you overdo this, just putting your camera alone next to it is like, whoa. There we go, that's much better. And now it's a bit of a satisfying pop as soon as it hits. It's good to look at. Alright, now let's... In terms of effects for beams, the most you can do for a beam... I'm not gonna get too creative with beams, but I guess the most you could do for this is like, instead of just removing the beam straight up, let's do a spawn function. For I equals 1s10, do weight, and I don't put anything in the weight because it's just the default value, like the smallest value you can get. And let's do p.size equals p.size. Or you can do subtraction. Minus, let's see, and let's leave that long part alone, and then we'll remove p at the very end. Now our beam should shrink right after. Yeah. Now this can look a lot smoother. That is a thing that can happen. But when it comes to that, that's just a whole realm of stuff I don't want to get into. For example, here. I don't have any examples on me. Here, let me. So, I made a game called Project X. Why did I say it like? So in the past, I made a game called Project X. I loved working on it and doing stupid stuff with it. So when it comes to the beam, it's gonna look like. I share my whole screen here. The window capture. So I was trying to make a new combat. In fact, this may be a bad example. So this, I made a beam. This is my beam. Now, to be able to do that, it was pretty annoying. But oh, I broke it. That's great. Great. How do I break such a thing? So when it comes to this beam is here. That's probably too. This is what it should look like. But it can also, since it's on an S weight, it can look like 60 FPS when it's really not. All this stuff. And this is probably the stuff that you guys wanted to learn how to do. Which, with what I've taught you, you can probably put stuff together. Because it isn't all that hard. You'll eventually reach a point of being able to do it. And it'll just become like second nature. This isn't hard. For me, at least. I don't know about other people. Alright, it broke. But yeah, that's back to this. So when we're going through effects, what we're gonna want to do is, if you're gonna do a beam like that, what I recommend is that, oh, that's hard to explain. You know, I'll do an advanced tutorial that I don't, for advanced effects. Now, if you didn't want to learn particle effects and you wanted to learn part effects, I got you. Let's make a part. Let's call this Explosion 1. Explosion 1, what we're going to want is make it very, very small at first. Or actually, no. You can change it to 1, put a special mesh in it, and then put a sphere. This will be our first. Make it invisible. Let's start from 0. In fact, we don't need to make it invisible. So, starting from here, let's make. You can edit it in script. So let's put this in the effects script that we have, and let's do a combination of particles and parts. So here, local P. Now we're in fact, actually, oh, that's ray casting. Oh, I forgot about ray casting. Alright, so for the beam, it'll go through objects because I forgot about ray casting and completely neglected it. Shoot. Alright. We'll worry about it another time. I'll make a second. Alright, so alright, let's do local x2. Yeah. I didn't undo everything. Oh no, it's up there. Oh alright. So I can do, yeah. Local x game.replicate storage effects dot explosion. Now explosion parent it to workspace. Now the reason I'm doing this and I'm not editing it in the server is because I don't wanna. I want it to look smooth, and to make it look smooth, what we're gonna have to do is, make it look smooth. We're gonna have to have the client take over. So let's else if child.name equal now what I normally do is I put like a whole entire configuration in. And so I'll have like a config, and then I'll put like size, I'll put size duration, all that stuff. But for the sake of this, I'll make an advanced effects tutorial for now. This will just be some simple stuff to get like the hang of it. Possibly figure out something else. It's 10. Let's do 30. So S weight, and let's make it grow to. Well, first of all, we have to figure out. Let's make sure it has the part in it. Feet weight. Oh no, the part is a distance. Script dot child dot mesh dot scale. Scale is the size of the mesh. Mesh dot scale. Adding onto it. Let's vector 3 that new. And let's make it grow 1 each time. And let's make it fade. Child dot transparency. Child dot transparency. 1 divided by 30. Plus 1 divided. Because it'll be invisible by the time it hits. And yeah, let's test it. Oh, I didn't give it a position. No. Why? Alright, so supposed to give the explosion a position. So it should appear somewhere at least. Or anywhere. Let's see here. X. See. We're going to launch it. Not invisible, right? Not anchored. Call it the wrong thing. Okay, we're gonna try something else. I'm gonna grab this here. Oh, it's not right. Hold on. Oh. Uh-oh. You're gonna want to put this in here. I had not thought about that. It was looking for something that did not exist. Okay. Let's also make this anchored in slide. For the sake of this, instead of doing, no, we'll do it in the script. X2 brick color ins that capital, and then material. Now this should play along with. So we're gonna fire this. It's not about. I don't. Mesh. Alright, now that it knows the mesh is there, it should do the thing. See? Now it has a pretty cool little burst with it. In fact, I think what we could do is let's make it grow a little bit. This explodes like that. That's cool. Now for the beam, what you could do, and I think this is a pretty okay thing to do, grab this explosion thing right here, grab the screen shake, and just, alright, minus the screen shake. Just go here, paste it, and then do V. V is, and then it should look like this when you do every time it hits. That's cool. That's a. Yep. And I think that's where I'm gonna leave, because I'm not gonna like every single effect. And just, I'll make a whole ass other thing for this. This is where I'll leave it. This is pretty good progress, I believe. That no longer does damage. Why? Alright. It's funny. Oh, no, it still does damage. It's just weird. I'll have to look into that later. Now, that's about it. Next one. Goodbye.